Dude, she is literally the definition of mid.
That's what I'm saying.
The Last of Us Part 1, the remake of the game that came out quite a few years ago. So basically they added in a few new things and mostly just made the graphics look more realistic than real life. Today I'm going to be getting the Platinum Trophy for The Last of Us Part 1. It has 29 trophies within and is one of the most easiest yet annoying Platinum trophies I've ever gotten. The game begins with Joel and his daughter chilling at home, and then 5 seconds later a man throws himself through the window in an effort to finally conquer the girl next door.
Hey, yo!
Thankfully, Joel is a cold-hearted man and puts him down with ease to save his daughter. Sadly, he couldn't save her a few minutes later when she gets shot by a military soldier as they are trying to run away. Man, if this doesn't represent cops in America nowadays, I don't know what else does. So Sarah, who is Joel's daughter, is dead, and then we get to watch a 4-minute-long game credit intro. Now I feel like we're just watching a movie from the early 2000s. This truly is shameless. Anyways, it's many years later and the world is still in shambles since the zombies aren't gone yet and probably never will be. Joel has a sneaky link named Tess and you guys basically work together and probably have fun times. But Joel is a gentleman, so he never admits to anything. In the first mission, you are after some guy who has info you need. I gotta admit, that is the plot to basically every single game's intro I have played so far. Truly revolutionary if you ask me, and I even end up shooting a ton of men to get what I want. We caught up to Robert and then the lad decided to run away like an idiot. Little does he know, Joel was a track star back in his prime. We easily caught him and decided since he's rocking a man bun and not in California, he needs to just die, so we killed him. Then a homeless woman out of nowhere walked up to us who was apparently the leader or something of the Fireflies, which is this quote-unquote organization that wants a better world. But the first mission she gives us is to human traffic this girl named Ellie.
We don't know what the hell is going on right now.
I don't know what kind of operation she's running here, but it sure is not legal. If you don't know, Ellie is immune to the infection, so that's why we are actually transporting her. After some time, we ended up in a subway with Ellie and Tess, and there was a super annoying section with a ton of clickers, and I got my ass handed to me. Then again, I didn't understand half of what the hell was happening with the combat system, but it's safe to say I was worse at this game to begin with than the outcome of Travis Scott's concert last year. But eventually we made it out of the darkness and into the light, and I got my first trophy for finding the first Firefly tag that I ran across. This isn't the first one in the game, however, and I missed more than half the collectibles in my first playthrough of this game, which makes it a pain in the ass later on. Mom and Dad argue a lot on this next mission, and eventually Mom reveals she was bit by a zombie, and we decided to just leave her ass there to die. Shortly after that, she got shot, but while that was happening, I was searching for collectibles and spent way too much time dilly-dallying around and got jumped by a bunch of men with bad intentions. One of them even threw me up against the wall, and for a second I felt like a real boy. But then I picked up my 2x4 and smashed it into his face, making it unrecognizable. You then get to do a ton of combat to escape that place and make it into the subway system yet again. And while it's down there, you have to take out a few guys. You also get to pretend like you're playing Subnautica for a few minutes and find out Ellie can't swim, which might be the saddest thing I've ever heard of. The girl is the only person on Earth who is immune to the infection, but she can't swim. We all have our downfalls, I guess. Joel and Ellie are still trying to complete her human trafficking mission like we said we would, so the next thing they need is a car from one of Joel's friends, Bill. Now, if that isn't an American name, I don't know what is. He lives in this big old village which has booby traps all around it, and he sort of runs it by himself. Before we meet him, however, Joel got strung up upside down, and we got to have one of the most fun combat sections in a game I have yet to play. It was so simple yet super fun because Ellie's dumbass was just not doing anything at all, and for the love of God could not cut the damn rope to save my life. Literally. But after that, Bill strolls up finally, and I'm sorry, but I can't look at him the same after seeing what he did in The Last of Us Episode 3. However, I did find the first training manual of the game, and it gave me a trophy, so some trauma can be forgiven. We finally got the damn car and had to push it to get it started, so I don't trust the thing whatsoever in its effectiveness, but it's short-lived anyway since we get jumped by a bunch of cannibalistic hunters in the city around 4 minutes later. I did find a comic book though for a trophy, so at least now Ellie can be distracted while I brutally murder everyone for shits and gigs. This next section of the game has a load of enemies, and like usual, I got bored, so I decided to try and ruin my life by just going guns blazing and raising chaos onto these men who are hunting a little girl in the zombie apocalypse. Joel and Ellie end up getting split apart at some point, and there is a super funny fight with Joel and the ladder man. He is trying to drown Joel, but fails once Ellie shoots him in the face, and can we just appreciate this animation right here, because my god, is it just peak. After fighting more people, we are about to go into a building, and we get grabbed by a tall, dark, handsome man, and he tries to take us out. But then Joel starts to just beat the shit out of him. He stops though because a child in the room has a gun, and you never know what can happen next. And fun fact, the voice actor for this character is also Miles Morales in the Spider-Man games. Poor lad can't land any other job aside from squeaker voice acting. A sad day indeed. Anyways, these lads are brothers, and Henry is the older one, while Sam is the younger,
squeaker one.
They're supposedly going to help us cross this bridge to get out of the damn city, and we strike at night because that was supposed to be the best time. But I made it the worst because I just fledged an all-out assault onto the enemy. Eventually, we were about to escape, but then the ladder breaks, and Henry straight up takes Sam, and they just dip on us faster than I leave any girl I date for fun. Ellie, however, was a real one and stayed behind as we ended up nearly drowning in the river. Finally found a loyal bitch. Too bad she's a minor. Oh, and look who shows up to make fun of us for being all wet. Sadly, Joel didn't have the balls to kill Henry because it would have started another protest in society. Anyways, on this next part, I got a ton of trophies for once, which is a first. Since this game has so little trophies, it makes them very scarce and spread apart when you play the game. I ended up crafting every item in the game, which wasn't bad at all since there isn't very many to begin with. And then I fully upgraded one of my pistols at the workbench stations, which are spread throughout the game in safe zones, you could say. And I opened up every safe, which there was only 4, so it wasn't that bad at all. Also, I totally didn't look up the codes. I don't know what you're talking about. A bit later on, we get to do this cool sniper mission, and Joel definitely felt like a real man right here since this was low-key badass. Just popping people as they show their ugly faces in front of my crosshairs. But sadly, within all this madness, Sam got bitten by a zombie at some point, and he didn't tell anyone, and turned in the middle of the night. Henry lost his shit and killed Sam, which was the right thing to do. But then he turned around and just offed himself in front of everyone. This gave so much PTSD to both Ellie and Joel, we had to fast forward all the way to fall. So anyways, now that the war crimes are over, Ellie helped us do some parkour thing and wanted a high five. But she hasn't showered in like 3 years, so I rejected her offer and got a trophy for being such a dude. Later on in the mission, Joel reunites with his brother Tommy, and we get welcomed into their little base thingy. While it's there, I pet a dog, which was epic, and I got a trophy. And a few seconds later, the entire place went to hell, which is seemingly coincidental that this happens the minute after we showed up. But it's okay, I understand, they wanted good pacing in the game. Ellie ended up running away from us, but we found her in a ranch house a little ways down the road. And so did a ton of enemies. But I decided to use a melee weapon for the first time and ended up stabbing everybody. This really made me feel like a killer, and in such succession, we then headed over to an American university with a load of guns for realism. For some reason, Joel and Ellie thought the Fireflies would be here at the Colorado school they are at. Spoiler alert, they were not there. One of the last missions has Joel bedridden since he fell on a piece of metal sticking out of the ground on that last mission we were just on. Honestly, the poor dude couldn't be any more unlucky. Ellie tried her best to save him, but ended up getting captured by a bunch of perverted cannibals, which is starting to become a trend in this post-apocalyptic world. And it has me scared for the future of society. Ellie and that bad man have a big old fight, and there was this stupid-ass objective of just crawling away, and I somehow failed that, which made me feel like an idiot, and I threw myself out the window. Anyways, Ellie beat the shit out of the guy, and Joel came in for emotional support. We are now on the last mission of the game, which has us just traverse more highways and subways to find the Fireflies lab. While doing this, I found the last upgrade tool in the game for a trophy, and that was the last one I got before the ending of the game trophy. The end of the game has you give over Ellie to the Fireflies, but little does Joel know, they plan on killing her essentially to get enough substance for a cure. And Joel isn't having any of that, so we refuse to leave and instead kill every single person there, including the final lady who even gave up at the end. I low-key love this, and it made me feel happy inside. So I might be kind of crazy, but I got the endgame trophy. And it's finally time to do the cleanup for the story. And I have got to say, The Last of Us Part 1 has probably the world's worst way to select chapter after you're done with the game. You have to make sure not to delete your final game save or else you can't select any chapter again, which is just retarded since Naughty Dog is usually great at this, so I don't know what the hell they were thinking about when making it, but the way they did it was extremely stupid. Anyways, it took me like 4 hours to go back and find all these dumbass collectibles I missed, and some of them made me want to die since I ran past them and had to replay it multiple times. So if you're going to go for this platinum trophy, I would highly suggest doing a collectible playthrough to start with, and just finish the game that way. Also, I ended up accidentally overwriting my final game save and had to replay the last 2 missions in their entirety to finish the game. So it's safe to say this left a really sour taste in my mouth and my opinions on this game. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't really get the writing for The Last of Us. Like, sure, it's a good story and all, but I honestly think I enjoyed the Uncharted games way more. Not saying I didn't like this game, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, after I grabbed the last comic book collectible on the final mission and got the trophy for it, it was time to play the sort of DLC mission called Left Behind. This is a flashback to Ellie and one of her friends from military school, and when she also got bit and basically her life ended. Those sons of bitches made this dumb mission have like 14 optional conversations, which is absolutely ridiculous, but I guess it makes sense because the mission was extremely slow and stale, and it even became a tad bit fruity at one point, if you know what I mean. The first trophy I got in this mission was from winning a brick throwing contest, which is self-explanatory. You throw bricks at a car and whoever breaks it fastest wins. The next trophy was from finally listening to all the dumb jokes from from Ellie's joke book. And to get this trophy, you have to endure 6 minutes straight of these things, and Jesus Christ was I going crazy at the end. The reactions from the characters were absolutely awful. Half the time their voices didn't even match up with what was happening. Anyways, a little bit after that, we ended up in a photo booth, and here's where the fruitiness was, but thankfully these two kids didn't just start making out, because that would have been weird. Adults made this game, so I don't really know what they were. Anyways, I did finally get every optional conversation, thank the Lord. Ellie then talked to the voices in her head to reenact not one video game, but 2 video games in a row. I guess schizophrenia is trending nowadays, so it makes sense. Ellie then squirted a ton of water onto her best friend for another trophy, which was super sus, and I apologize for putting this in the video. We then got a flash forward to Ellie in the present, kind of, and I found the last artifact collectible for the final collectible trophy, and I nearly busted out of excitement. Right after that, if you leave the vent and then throw a brick down in front of these enemies, they will all have a brawl and you get another trophy. All that was left is to finish the Left Behind mission and then some other thing I missed in the normal game. So I ended up just speedrunning through the rest of it and then skipping the cutscenes because I simply don't care about what happens. I watched the TV show, and I got the trophy. Then I had to use one more breakable melee weapon in the main story, and I had no clue what one it was. Would have been helpful if they had a counter, but I guess not. Thankfully though, I kid you not, on the very first chapter I selected, I had a melee weapon in my inventory, and I tried it just because why not? And it actually worked, giving me the trophy. I burst out laughing at how dumb that was in the moment. I then had to shut off the generator on a previous mission without being seen, which was extremely easy in all honesty, and the Platinum trophy popped right after. The Last of Us Part 1's Platinum was super easy because I played it on the easiest difficulty since there isn't any difficulty trophies, but if you want to see me do The Last of Us Part 2's Platinum on the hardest possible difficulty, then get this video to 5,000 likes, and I'll do it the second that happens. Also, here's my playtime for the Platinum and it in my library. Thanks for watching my balls.